Hello, everybody attending and listening in the recording. Like Stephanie said, today we're going to take a look at CADLink for SYSPRO, a tool to link engineering bills of materials and items with SYSPRO. My name's Carson. I'm a solutions engineer here at QBuild Software. I've been with the company now for just over 5 years, helping customers integrate their engineering systems to ERP and SYSPRO. Okay, so today we're going to do a few different things. I'm going to start with an introduction to QBuild and CADLink. We'll talk about some of the current pains and band-aid solutions that you might be implementing if you're in need of CADLink. And we'll talk about features and benefits of CADLink before providing a visual or a demo of CADLink, and then we can talk about a testimonial and where you can find more. So QBuild, we're a company that specializes in engineering to ERP integration. We've been in the space for 20 plus years. We've got 7+ years of SYSPRO partnership under our belts, and we're a SYSPRO certified global ISV partner. So we're part of SYSPRO's global program and have been selected as an ISV partner to work with. In our stable of integrations, we've got 50 plus CAD, PDM, PLM, and nesting integrations, covering just over about 1,500 QBuild customers across all of our integrations. On the screen now, you'll see some of our CAD and nesting partners. These are really just the big ones. You know, we've got the SolidWorks, the Autodesk stable there, the Siemens products, PTC, but we've also got a ton more that I couldn't put on the screen here. can't include all the different logos, but if if you notice something that you guys use isn't in the list here, reach out, and it's likely we've integrated with it already, or if not, looked into the possibility, so we can help you out. But this gives you a good idea of the breadth of the integrations that we can do on the engineering side. So you'll see here CAD systems, PDM systems, PLM systems, even nesting software. We can integrate all to SYSPRO. The way that we do that is through our stable of solutions. So we have a number of different software integrations to accomplish different integrations between engineering and ERP. I want to highlight two other than CADLink here. One is ECX Manager, which is an engineering change management solution to manage ECR, ECO, ECNs between engineering and with integration to SYSPRO. The other would be NestLink, which is that nesting software integration. So integrating software like ProNest or SigmaNest or those kind of software to SYSPRO jobs. But today, we are mainly going to talk about CADLink. So CADLink is a direct point-to-point integration between CAD systems, PDM systems, PLM systems to SYSPRO. It is a real-time BOM comparison where we are running CADLink from that CAD, PDM, or PLM system. CADLink compares against SYSPRO and then lets us sync the whole bill of material and all of the items to SYSPRO with a one-click inside CADLink. Here's some more of those PDM, CAD, PDM, and PLM systems that we looked at earlier. And just to reiterate, we're a certified global ISV partner. So CADLink is our solution and SYSPRO's selected solution for running that integration. So let's talk about some of the symptoms. If you are a customer or company that is in manufacturing, when you do engineering design work, you might be familiar with some of these. Something like an engineering bottleneck or the need to hire more engineers. Maybe you've got engineers spending time on BOM data entry and it's just taking way too long. Maybe you don't create a full bill of material in SYSPRO. You don't have that full structure or full estimate in SYSPRO, and you're losing some details because the manual data entry takes too long. Maybe because of that delay, you're slowing down the rates of project and job completion because of the data entry task that it might take to enter this information. And lastly, maybe you're seeing errors in that data entry because of it's either manually entered or using some other solution. Maybe there's some errors in the BOM data, and that creates further downstream errors in your jobs and so on in SYSPRO. So if you are experiencing any of those symptoms, you might be working with a couple of Band-Aid solutions, things that we see when we're talking to new folks that are looking to get CADLink. Maybe you are, and really this is the main one, brute forcing it, just manual data entry. Maybe you've hired someone specifically to do that task. Maybe they spend all day entering bill of material and item information into SYSPRO. That's great. There's zero software cost, but you may be hiring that additional person. Maybe you have all of your engineers spending hours of their day doing this, so it's very time consuming. That might be fine for small changes or changes you make once a year, but if you're doing any more, you'll want a better solution. So perhaps maybe you've tried blind push. Maybe you are exporting something from your CAD system and then importing it into SYSPRO. This often requires massaging the data in that Excel or in that export, making sure column names are matching and this sort of thing. And it's not going to offer a bidirectional connection. So it's one way. You export from one system, import it into SYSPRO, and cross your fingers and hope it works. There's no bidirectional write back. There's no error checking. It's not actually an integrated solution like CADLink. Often for a blind push or other solutions, it's also often reliant on a single person in IT. So one person in IT knows how this works and knows how to troubleshoot it. And if they're ever out or away, then you're without a solution. So why look at CAD integration with CADLink? Well, CADLink links engineering directly with SYSPRO. It is a bidirectional data exchange, meaning that with CADLink, we can update SYSPRO and we can update back to the CAD system in the same save of CADLink. And doing that, we make sure that the data in both systems match. So we're eliminating that data silo that you might have if you don't have a direct integration. If I look at a part or stock code in SYSPRO and I look at that same part in my CAD, I might see different sets of data. And if you are an engineering company in any of these kind of industries you see at the bottom there, then making sure that that data in both systems is accurate is paramount. So typical customers of CADLink, well, it's folks that are discrete manufacturers. So obviously they're using a CAD system. They're perhaps doing custom or engineer to order products, meaning that they're making new bills of materials or new designs often and need to update SYSPRO often. Or perhaps they've got large assemblies or doing large machinery where they've got a lot of information to sync over. And even if they don't do an update often, when they do, it's a large task, and CADLink can make it much simpler. So common industries, we see folks in medical equipment, aerospace, robotics, tractor trailer, automotive. These kind of industries often fit those three descriptors above. Okay, so the benefits. The benefits of using CADLink are firstly reducing the cost. If you've got engineers double and triple entering their data, once into CAD, again into SYSPRO, that's time that they don't need to spend again to do that information or to put that information in SYSPRO. And CADLink can significantly reduce the time it takes to do that. Also, we're going to be improving the accuracy from engineering to production. So when that bill of material in SYSPRO is more accurate and matches closer to engineering, we'll be reducing scrap, improving the purchasing accuracy, and eliminating some of those wrong build situations you might come into if the bill of material you've put on your job is out of sync with the latest from engineering. Lastly, accelerating that data transfer. So kind of hand in hand with the first point there, but we are increasing the data transfer from engineering to SYSPRO, increasing the speed of not only the data handoff, but also the project as a whole. We can start the project sooner and we've got that information in there sooner. So CADLink is a solution, and I want to talk about a few benefits that CADLink might have over other solutions in the space. First of all, and maybe most importantly, we are fully compatible with multiple different areas in SYSPRO. So structures and stock codes, the standard bill of material you might see in SYSPRO, we're fully compatible there. But also estimates and non-stock codes. So if you want to use CADLink to go directly from a CAD software and the bill of material there and create an estimate and create non-stock codes to go along with that estimate, you can do that with CADLink. Not on my list here, but in the works is direct job integration as well. So if you wanted to update the job allocation for a specific job, CADLink can do that as well. And also SYSPRO ECC. If you're using the engineering change control module there from SYSPRO, CADLink is fully compatible with that module in SYSPRO as well. So if you want to make the SYSPRO ECC connection to the CADLink software to go have CADLink update that module there, we're fully compatible. Also, during the CADLink project, during our implementation of CADLink, we assign a developer and a project manager directly to a customer, and you'll have direct access to them. All of our projects are a fixed fee model, so you won't be charged extra per hour or anything like that. And you'll have direct access to the project manager, even that technical developer resource. So if you've got a question about something you're seeing on your end, you've always got that access. Our full developer and project management team, they're all here in Toronto, where I'm located. So you'll always have that connection, and you can work closely with them. But we're also recognized as really the gold standard in the manufacturing ERP industry, not only just with SYSPRO, but across the whole industry. QBuild software is where most partners turn when they're looking for an engineering integration. And lastly, we've got a great standard CADLink out of the box. Install it, it'll work for you. But we are also willing to tailor our solutions to solve your specific problem. So if there is a specific need that you have that you think CADLink might fit, but maybe it needs to be tailored in some way to your solution, we have the resources that are able to do that, and we're always willing to take on that kind of project. Okay, let's now take a look at CADLink. So we've done a lot of talking about CADLink. Let's actually take a look. Okay, on your screen now, you should be looking at SolidWorks. Now, I'm going to run CADLink Demo here from SolidWorks, which is one of the more popular CAD systems. Everything I'm going to say here is also going to apply for any other CAD system, whether that's Inventor, or Creo, or NX, what have you, along with the PDM and PLM integrations that we do. So CADLink is installed right next to my SolidWorks client here. And I can access CADLink through my Tools menu in the top left. Now, for the purpose of this demo, you can think of me as an engineer here, right? We've got a model that perhaps we've made some changes to, and now we need to update SYSPRO to match this new engineering design. So I'm going to go into my Tools menu. I'm going to open up CADLink. And here I can have I have the options for running CADLink. So you can see here I can run the structure BOM or the estimate BOM. Now the CADLink interface looks identical here. I'm going to use the structure BOM, but the estimate BOM will look quite similar. Once I run the structure BOM version of CADLink, CADLink will begin reading from SolidWorks and going to SYSPRO to find a comparison or find any matching items or bills of materials. Once CADLink has completed its comparison, it brings us to this screen here. This is the CADLink BOM grid, and each of the different colors on the screen is CADLink's way of showing me the results of the comparison that it's done. So this BOM here, this same multi-level bill of material, is the same BOM that we saw in SOLIDWORKS, with the colors telling us what the differences are between SOLIDWORKS and SYSPRO. So let's talk through all the different colors. If I take a look at one of these rows that is entirely in white, that is CADLink telling me that there is no difference between what's in SOLIDWORKS and what's in SYSPRO. So for instance, this row here, CADLink found this part number in our SOLIDWORKS model. It went to SYSPRO, found a matching stock code, and then ran the comparison for things like description, quantity, unit of measure, part category, any field that we want to map that's on that stock code page in SYSPRO. And in this case, didn't find any difference. So there's no highlighting here. This row is entirely white. If CADLink did find a difference, it would highlight that to me in yellow. That's what I can see in with these yellow highlights here on the screen. So here CADLink found a difference, or rather found this part number in SOLIDWORKS, found a matching stock code in SYSPRO, ran the comparison for description, and saw that the two values disagreed with each other. So our value for description in SOLIDWORKS and the value that's in SYSPRO don't match. CADLink highlights that to me in yellow so that I know that there's a discrepancy there. Now with CADLink, I can actually see what that difference is. If I right click on any of these yellow values, CADLink will tell me what the two values I have in my CAD and my ERP are. Here, we can see that my CAD description is this advanced latch 4-digit, whereas in SYSPRO, I've just got this test value here. So in this menu, I can actually make a decision. I can make a choice here. I can take my CAD description, which is what I have CADLink defaulted to do when I load in. But I can take that CAD description and select it there. And when I hit save now, what CADLink will do is it will update this existing stock code in SYSPRO with this new description that's come from SOLIDWORKS. So with CADLink, we can update existing items, existing bills of materials, and have them match what's coming from SOLIDWORKS. And we can do both in the same instance here of CADLink. I've got this multi-level bill of material. If I look at like a difference in quantity here, right click on that, it'll tell me what that difference is. And once I hit save in the top left, CADLink will go ahead and make those changes. It will, in this case, update this description, add that part to the bill of material, and it'll do it all in the same instance. I don't need to run CADLink once for items and another time for bills of materials. CADLink takes care of all that logic for me. So that's what might happen if I select my CAD description, but maybe I want to select my ERP description. Now, if I take a look at this item here and right click on that yellow value, if I take a look at these two values, perhaps in this case, I'd rather keep my ERP description. Maybe I don't want to keep that short form there, and I'd rather keep this value here. To do that, I'd select my ERP description in this window. The value will update. And now when I hit save in CADLink, CADLink will use this value here as the description moving forward. So in SYSPRO, it won't make any change for this item, except in this case, add it to the BOM. But it won't make any change to this item's description. And I'll have the ability in CADLink to write this description back to SOLIDWORKS. So CADLink is able to write bidirectionally. I can update parts in SYSPRO, and I can update parts in SOLIDWORKS. I can do it in the same instance here. If I were to hit save now in CADLink, I would update this part, advanced latch, here below, and pull this value back to the CAD system in this same window here. So CADLink can write bidirectionally. We can update both systems to keep them in line to eliminate that data silo that we might have between our ERP and what's in SolidWorks here. Okay, those are existing items. Everything in white with the yellow differences are existing items in SYSPRO, existing stock codes or non-stock codes if we're looking at the estimate version. And any differences between the two are highlighted in that yellow. Next, I want to take a look at all of the items in green. Green items are parts that are brand new to SYSPRO. So everything here with a green highlight is a stock code or item that does not exist in SYSPRO. So if we take any of these as an example, CADLink sees this item, this part number here in SolidWorks or my CAD system. It goes to SYSPRO, tries to find a match, but in this case doesn't find it. So there is no item with this part number in SYSPRO. So CADLink highlights the row to me in green to let me know that CADLink is going to create this new stock code for me. And it'll create it with all of the information that we can pull from SolidWorks. So it'll create it with this part number that's pulled from SolidWorks, this description. It'll add it to this bill of material with the proper quantity and set any of these other fields that I might want to be mapping between the two software. So in this same save, CADLink is updating existing parts, writing back to SolidWorks, and also creating brand new parts and brand new bills of materials in SYSPRO. I don't need to run CADLink once for updating and another time for creation of new parts. CADLink takes care of all the logic for me there. I just need to run CADLink on a BOM that I've made changes to. CADLink will tell me what's different, and CADLink will make all the changes for me. So all of the green highlighted parts here are all new parts or new bills of materials, even like 1.5 here. And CADLink will create these records in SYSPRO for me. If I scroll to the right here, or just take a look at these fields on the right-hand side, we've got things mapped like part category, product class, warehouse even. In CADLink, these are all, or rather in SYSPRO, these are all dropdowns. And so the same applies here in CADLink. If I look at the drop-down menu here in part category, it's the same list that I have in my SYSPRO. Same thing for raw materials and warehouses as well. So that's part of CADLink's way of validating the data that we are saving to SYSPRO. So we're making sure that if we are creating a new item and giving it a product class, that's an acceptable class that I can use in SYSPRO. That same list is available here. It's part of what CADLink is doing for data validation. Another way that CADLink is running this data validation for new parts that we're creating is with the red highlight on the screen. The red highlight is showing me any fields that have a validation issue when it comes to some of SYSPRO's rules for creating parts. In this case, you'll see I've got two green rows here with a red highlight, both on the description. And if you've created a part in SYSPRO before, you might notice that these don't have a description here. Now, in my SYSPRO, I can't create a new item without a description. So my CADLink here knows that and flags any of these parts without a description to me with this red highlight. Now, if I saw a red highlight and I wasn't quite sure why it's highlighted like that, I could take a look at my messages tab in the top right, and that will tell me more about why I've got these red highlights here. So I click on one of those, it'll highlight the row for me, telling me that a description is missing. While I have this validation issue that CADLink's caught for me, my save button is actually disabled here. You might have noticed when I mentioned it earlier that it's grayed out, and that's because we have these messages, these red highlights here. So CADLink can catch these errors for me and then stop me from trying to create these items when I don't have the proper data. So we've got these two parts that I want to create, but they don't have descriptions. So I could go back to SolidWorks, fill in the property, rerun CADLink, and save into SYSPRO. But because I have CADLink and because it is bidirectional, what I would do instead is actually enter the description here in CADLink. So if I go into my red highlighted rows there, I can enter a description. And when I do that, my message will go away. And if I enter in the next, you'll see my message are all gone now. And my save button is highlighted, or rather enabled there. So now my red highlights are gone, and I'm good to save this into SYSPRO. When I do that, CADLink will create this part for me, give it the description that I've entered in CADLink here, and because CADLink is able to be bidirectional, CADLink will also save this new description that I've entered here back to that empty description property, or non-existent description property perhaps, in SOLIDWORKS. So we can update both ways, make sure both systems have that new description that I've entered here. Okay, so that is the data validation piece on CADLink. And that applies the write back to SOLIDWORKS and the checking of the data. That applies to these fields here in the window now, but also we can map additional fields. So if I wanted to map any other field that is on the item or on the structure in SYSPRO, with the CADLink settings and our field mapping module, you can do that. And that control is in your hands as an end user, as a customer. You don't need to come to us for extra development to map user field 1 or alternate key 1 or any of those kind of fields that are on the item. You've got that control in the CADLink settings. Let's now talk about the last color on the screen there, and that is the items in gray. The gray items are parts that are on the current SYSPRO bill of material. They're not on the latest SOLIDWORKS BOM here. They're not on the latest version of this BOM coming out of engineering. So these items are highlighted in gray because they're not on the latest engineering BOM. And when I save in CADLink, CADLink will remove these items from that bill of material in SYSPRO in order to keep it synchronized. So we can add items to bills of materials, but we can also remove items from bills of materials to keep them synced with what's in engineering. So everything in gray here is a part that's, like I said, not on the SOLIDWORKS side. And that might be because they've been made obsolete, or maybe they've been replaced with some other part. For whatever reason, they're not on the SOLIDWORKS side, and we don't want them moving forward in the SYSPRO end either. So those are highlighted in gray. CADLink will remove them. But you might be able to think of items that you don't put in SOLIDWORKS that you need in the SYSPRO bill of material. Common examples we see are things like nuts or bolts, maybe something like rivets or consumables, perhaps like paint or glue, even something like instruction manuals and packaging and this kind of thing. You may need those kind of items on the BOM in SYSPRO, but you never model an instruction manual to go along with your model in SYSPRO, your model in SOLIDWORKS rather. With CADLink, we can add and manage those kind of parts on our bill of material here. We can do that through a functionality that we call manual parts. So in CADLink here, if I wanted to add another part to this bill of material, I could right click on the row and hit add manual part here. When I do that, you'll see a new row at the bottom that is in blue. This blue row is letting me know that this part isn't on the SOLIDWORKS side, but it's been added as a manual part. With the blue row added, I can then search through SYSPRO to find a new stock code to add here. So maybe in this case, I need to add a bolt. I didn't model the bolts in my drawing, but I need those on the bill of material in SYSPRO. So here I can search by description. It'll pick up everything that's got bolt and the description there, and I can select the one I need. This guy here, perhaps. When I add that to the bill of material, I can then change the quantity. And now I've added this item to my BOM here in CADLink. When I save now in CADLink, CADLink will remove the items in gray, create the items in green, change those yellow highlights there, if I've selected to do so, and it will add this blue row to the bill of material. When it does that, it'll also flag that item on the SYSPRO BOM, SYSPRO structure or estimate. It'll flag that item in SYSPRO so that the next time I update this BOM, CADLink will remember that this item has been added as a manual part and not try and remove it the next time. So not only can we synchronize the engineering bill material here, synchronize all those items and the bill material from the CAD and SYSPRO, but we can also add additional pieces of information to our engineering BOM to further flesh out the bill material in SYSPRO. So we can do that through the manual part there. We can also do that through functionality for raw materials. So if I scroll all the way to the right, you will see 4 fields here. I'll start with MTL. That is how we can add a raw material level to this BOM. So say if I've got a part in SolidWorks, say this one here, and I need to make this part out of a piece of raw material. I can have CADLink add that additional level in SYSPRO through our raw material functionality here. And I can add that in a couple of different ways. I can go here on the right-hand side under my material code, search through SYSPRO for a raw material to add here. So I'll take in. I can change the quantity, and now I've added a child part to this SolidWorks part. But I could also read this information from a SolidWorks property. So if I have a SolidWorks property or a CAD property for this part here, and it calls out a specific raw material, I can have CADLink automatically pull that in like it did here with this part above. So now CADLink has added this raw material part to the bill of material. And when I save in CADLink now, CADLink will create this latch product part here. That's a part in SolidWorks. But it will also create a bill of material for this part that contains the raw material that I've added here in CADLink. So with that, we can add even more information to the BOM in SYSPRO to further flesh it out above and beyond the engineering bill material synchronization there. So on the left-hand side, we've got our CADLink BOM grid. And now we've talked about all of the different colors that you see and the way that CADLink is running its comparisons. We talked about white parts being existing parts, green parts being brand new. Those gray and blue parts are parts that aren't on the SolidWorks side. And we've talked about ways to add manual parts as well. What I want to do now is take a look at our top right, where we've got a few other tabs that we can take a look at. We've been looking at the messages tab, which is now blank because we filled in those empty descriptions. But we've also got a CAD data tab. The CAD data tab here is going to show me all of the raw materials or rather the raw SolidWorks properties that I might have here for each of my SolidWorks parts or assemblies. So this is going to show me all of the CAD properties that I've got for each of my files here. So if I wanted to double check a mapping or double check a value that I saw, I can run in here and check. If we wanted to double check that those two parts that had empty descriptions, for example, really did have no description, well, I can click on this guy here, which I entered that description for. And if we check here, there is no description property. So it really didn't have a description. I've also got my changes tab here on the right-hand side. This changes tab, or the BOM changes tab, is a summary of the bill of material changes that CADLink will make in SYSPRO. So on the left-hand side, I've got the full bill of material, every single part, whether or not we're making a change to it. Whereas on the right-hand side, in my BOM changes tab, I am only looking at items that we are making a bill of material change. So you can imagine if I had a really large BOM on the left-hand side that I'm making 1 or 2 changes to, maybe swapping one part for another perhaps. On the left-hand side, I'd have a large BOM almost all of the parts will be entirely white. Whereas in my BOM changes tab, I would only see those two parts that I'm making the changes to. So it's another way to take a look at the same information that may be more useful in certain circumstances. The Changes tab and the grid itself can both be exported to Excel or PDF here. So if you want to use that for any kind of external process you might want to use it for, we make it easy enough to export it there. Lastly, I want to look at operations. So along with the structure in SYSPRO, you can also add operations to that structure. And we can do the same here in CADLink. If I take a look at any of these subassemblies, I can add operations to that item. And when I save in SYSPRO, that operation will be associated with that structure. If I take a look at my top level here, there was already an operation saved there, and CADLink will pull that information up. If I take a look at one of these new assemblies, I can go ahead and add these operations through the interface here if I want to. So I can hit Add Operation, and then I can select a work center from the dropdown here. Same as any other dropdown in CADLink, this is the same list of work centers that you would have inside of your SYSPRO here. So I can take one of these work centers there. I can keep adding additional ones if needed. And the list of fields here in my demo is quite simple, but we can map additional. So if you also wanted to set and see the runtime and the setup time and other fields like that associated with the operation, you can map those in the settings and make them appear here. With the operations here, another way that we can run them is through a module in the settings called the custom logic module. I won't go too deep into the custom logic module, but with that module, we can set intelligent defaults and additions of operations, values for fields, and other functionality like this. All of that can be written in C# code. So if you want to be able to set more intelligent defaults, add operations based on SOLIDWORKS properties and this kind of thing, we have a module included in CADLink for you to really go ahead and get that logic in a place where you need it to be. That is the overview demo here of CADLink. We've looked at everything on the screen here, the way that CADLink can create new items, edit existing items and bills of materials, create new bills of materials, and add more information than just that engineering bill of material to truly synchronize not just the engineering, but everything further in the SYSPRO BOM, raw materials, some of these manual parts that we might want to add, operations, and we can use CADLink to get all that information into SYSPRO efficiently and faster than if we were trying to do it manually. And because we've got that direct connection to SOLIDWORKS, we won't be having any issues with wrong data being entered by doing it manually and this kind of thing. Okay, so let me close that and we'll continue on here. I've just got a few more slides to kind of bring us to a close here. So on our website, qbuildsoftware.com/success stories, you can see more of testimonials from existing customers, but I wanted to highlight one here. This is Aussteel. They are in Australia, as you might have guessed, and they wrote a testimonial about how we helped them integrate their CAD system and their CAD designs to SYSPRO, talking about the link between design and production and how the project management team here at QBuild did a great job of accommodating them over in Australia. You can, like I said, see more of those on our website. We're starting to do video testimonials as well, so go ahead and take a look at what other folks have to say about QBuild and CADLink. Okay, well, if you like what you saw today and you want to learn more, you want to get pricing on CADLink, you want to set up maybe a custom demo where I can run a demo of CADLink with your data and show you how that might look, then get in contact with either myself or Stephanie at Lonehill. We can put that together. We can schedule a discovery call to learn exactly about what you guys want to do and get you pricing on CADLink. We've got the flexible licensing options available, and it's all done through SYSPRO as one of their global ISV partners. So that's mine and Stephanie's contact information on the screen there. I want to thank everybody for joining today and listening to the recording. I've been Carson. I'm a solutions engineer here at QBuild Software. Hopefully today was a great time to learn about engineering integration with CADLink.